Art is, I can't imagine life without it. No art on the walls, no creating, no drawing, no painting. I would have zero childhood. Like, that's it. That little girl would disappear. Art is life.
Hey guys, you're listening to Andreas Talks Art.
It's the wild, wild west out here. I'm trying to hunt down all the artists on their creative pursuit. Art is this expression of human imagination that drives the process of introspection and contemplation that creates a limitless potential of creativity. And in the end, it's not about the art. It's about the mind and the soul that turn their imagination into a reality. So what does it mean to be an artist? And more importantly, what does art mean to you?
Yo, what is up? We are back with another episode of Andreas Talks Art. Oh yeah. So today, I got a special guest. I sat down and talked with another fellow member of the Denver Art Society. She's an artist, a writer, a musician, a boogie bunny. And if you want to follow her and check out her work, you can find her on Instagram at PeerieBarra. So let's sit down and talk some art with See Martinez.
Do you remember when you first got into art?
Probably the first time I got a set of Crayola.
Crayons?
Crayola crayons.
Yeah.
So I would have been about like pre-kindergarten, post-kindergarten, that haze of the early 80s. Like, I just wanted to draw things, but I was also obsessed. My dad got me a copy of Black Beauty, the novel, and that was it. I always wanted to read, write, paint, like create, like pictures. That's the first time I actually remember getting a rush from drawing and seeing people's reactions. Like, even though artists say they don't want attention, they kind of do. You get like, oh, I made this, oh, people like it, when something goes on the refrigerator. I had a goal in my head when I was little. I wanted people to give me money for art and then take the art home and hang it up on walls, and just the idea itself was intoxicating when I was a little kid. Yeah.
So what was it about art that gave you this rush, or about creating?
I think with art, it was the first time seeing illustrated books. I love stories. I love movies. I love cartoons. Like, I was attached to anything that had a storyline in it. So even video games at the time, like Quest on Atari, they all had storylines I was nuts over, and I wanted to be part of the creation of storylines. I just always felt this need to travel. Like, I just wanted to go to different places, see everything, experience everything, and the easiest way to do that was to create it yourself. I was very frustrated when I was young because nothing ever looked like what was in my head. In your head, you're like Da Vinci, or in your head, you're like all of these things, and then you look at your Crayola drawing and you're like, this isn't it. That created that hunger just to keep learning and writing and drawing. I've said writing a lot because I've been writing lately, so now that's foremost in my head. I don't like being bored. Like, I have a terror of being bored when it comes to writing or art. I just have to be excited at all times. My process with writing and painting is to create something I would buy.
Do you find it hard to stick to one thing or to start a piece because of this need to not be bored?
No. There's always something to do, and I like to finish pieces. Okay. So, it used to be harder. I would say over the last 5 years, I've finally developed a rhythm where I can actually stick a piece through to the end. So it used to be if I was on a writing kick, then that's it. Art didn't exist anymore. Music didn't exist anymore. Everything was a phase. Like, sometimes I'd be composing music and art didn't exist. Writing didn't exist. And nowadays, I still want to get everything done. I'm actually finding the ability to do music, but also do art, but also do writing. Happily, art life has been pretty good, and I've actually been moving pieces. So I'm like, oh, I signed up to do this. I need more art. I need to make some stuff. Just mental discipline of just sitting down and finishing the thing. Everything that, as a kid, you're like, I don't want no grown-up telling me to finish something. And then once you're a grown-up, you're like, yeah, you have to finish that. You have to do it. My physical artwork often comes from a place of illustrating a story that hasn't been written yet, or dream imagery. Sometimes I get an image stuck in my head, or a face, or a creature, and so I paint it. Sometimes it's just fan art. I think if you've grown up in the 80s and the 90s, you're a fan of something. And fan art is so easy, and it's kind of sometimes people look a little down on it.
Why do you think people look down upon fan art?
Probably because, I mean, it is someone else's creation in the sense of, like, say someone's got like a whole set of Rick and Morty fan art.
Right.
The person who made the fan art is like, well, okay, you didn't create Rick and Morty, that other person did, so I understand that.
Landscape almost is that same idea, just recreating this thing that's already exists.
Landscape is Earth fan art.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Weird.
That's it. We need to make a t-shirt. Landscape is Earth fan art. Back off.
That's pretty funny. Back off. I know you have stuff in Denver Art Society and Spectra, and you've done a bunch of art shows.
I think it was around 2012. I went to an art show, and it was a really cool little gallery, and one of the members, Karina Espinoza, she just said to me, "Do you make art?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I mean, it's not good enough to hang on the wall." And she was like, "Put it in a frame, bring it in, we'll hang it up." And I was like, "Really?" So I got the art bug off that. Once I got in, I had never had a lot of like in-person friends before. All of my friends were like 99% of them were online. So I think I did get caught up in the rush of people, real people, and that's really fun.
Yeah.
It's like being able to interact with real people and have someone buy your work in front of you and take it home, and you're like, whoa, that's cool.
After hanging your art up in this gallery and you didn't feel like it deserved to be on the wall, how did that change, and like what was your journey of displaying art and putting it in galleries? Did that change after you hung that piece up? Did it feel like it was supposed to be on the wall?
Yes. Yeah. Like 6 or 8 year old me would have been like, yeah, I should have 10 galleries and fill all. And if you talk to any child, that is what they think, and somewhere along the line through my teenage years, I kind of lost that self-esteem, or it got hidden. And I suddenly felt like nothing I made was good or good enough or worthy. It was really important to have the kindness of someone say, bring your art in and we'll hang it up, and you'll see there's something for everybody. And actually having the art in the gallery and being able to like advertise an art show and have friends and family see it, and you're like, oh, you're on the wall. People treat you differently. It's really funny. It was actually a moment of actually opening my eyes, waking up in bed and going, oh, I've got art on the wall somewhere. That means a lot. That also taught me a lot too about trying to welcome others into the art community. Because it's not that hard to get your art on the wall or to get in a gallery. Yeah, you feel like a king or a queen, or,
Right.
It feels pretty good. I think it's gone a long way into helping me feel like really more extroverted and happier and excited. There's always something exciting to look forward to. I think art therapy is like a real thing.
So when you say art therapy is a real thing, is this you saying that like art has been a therapy for you? Like you making art has been a therapy?
I think so. It's certainly, if you're in an anxious or depressed state, you're less likely to get things accomplished. And if you don't accomplish something, you're like, oh, and then I didn't do that. That's another thing I didn't do. It makes you feel worse. And so that the art of creating, like just creating it, you do feel good. You get this sense of wellness. You start developing these skills that maybe you didn't realize you needed to develop more. Having that consistency of art, of like just doing it, totally adds to overall well-being, because then you've got this dopamine rush of accomplishment like all the time. Gold sticker, but you're giving it to yourself, Like you're not looking for someone else for validation. You're just completing things.
So when you fall off of this constant state of creation and you go a couple days without it, do you have ways of getting back into it, or is it just something you pick back up again?
Old version of me would be like depressed about it. Would be like, I didn't do something for 2 days, so I'll spend the next 3 days whining. More grown up me is like, oh, just do it. So okay, I let a couple days lapse and I didn't create a thing. Well, then create right now. The second you think of it, then do it right now. Doodle, write, make a poem, do some scales, something, anything.
So speaking of just doing it, what are you doing now? I'd like to know about, I know you have this little character that's a theme of yours.
Oh, Le Lapin. Oh, let us talk about him. Yes. Lockdown was kind of a weird, dystopian, scary place to be. So everyone started doing the I'm making banana bread and I'm going to try to make my own YouTube show. So this is how I make coffee sort of phase. During that phase, I was like, well, we're all locked inside. I'm an extrovert. I'm going to go insane, but it's okay. Let's not think about it. I began to sketch this little bunny who was also a combination of my Rainbow Optics heart-shaped sunglasses and my little Kate Spade purse. So bougie as all hell, this thing is. So he was my way of like trying to make it happy, like make me happy, you know, like because I was getting annoyed with everyone's positivity. And I'm like, I'm just being a grump because I can't go outside and I'm angry. So I was like, heart eyes, heart this. And then I was thinking, oh, I love all things French. So the French word for rabbit is lapin. So I'm like, le lapin, the French rabbit. And so it was all going to be cute. But then shit got serious. And then I was like looking at my artwork and I'm like, head in the sand. You know, I'm like, this is serious stuff that's going on right now. And I've got this rabbit that I love, but if he's an accurate depiction of this year, there has to be a step more. I began to draw him in things like kicking tear gas canisters or spray painting walls or setting scooters on fire. Then it began to feel more realistic because he's both cute and dangerous. He's this Parisian bougie bunny. One of his taglines is, he's trying to fight the bourgeoisie, but he is the bourgeoisie. That kind of felt like how 2020 was. We had a bunch of upper middle class to middle class people who have this privilege that the lower classes, like people who are struggling, look at us and see our privilege. And we don't see our own privilege. Then we become aware of our privilege. And then we're like, we're going to use our privilege, but when it suits us on our time clock. So I began like just raging all through 2020. And as much as I adore my little Le Lapin, he's also the problem. He's the solution and the problem. And a white rabbit is the most helpless little thing you can ever see on the street, you know, and that's kind of how the upper middle class is. And that's how the middle class is. Like, take our Starbucks away, take everything away. So take these simple pleasures away and we freak out. So this rabbit, who's just this adorable little bunny, does actually have a lot of personal meaning for me because I almost feel he's a self-portrait. I'm like, I protest the system, yet I am a part of this system. And it's like, what can we do to help people? You know, there's this whole other world that we have to investigate in our own journey of life. And so yeah, the official tagline of Le Lapin is Je suis la bourgeoisie, mais je combat la bourgeoisie. You know, he's like, I fight the bourgeoisie, but I am the bourgeoisie, you know. And so yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with him right now.
I got one more question for you, but before I ask my last question, if I'm not incorrect, is today your birthday?
It is.
Happy
Yes.
birthday.
Merci beaucoup.
That's amazing.
Thanks. I know. I'm like, every time it happens, I'm like, I'm still alive. That's like a thing.
Besides Instagram, is there anywhere else people can check your art out? If you're in Denver, come to the Denver Art Society and Spectra Art Space.
Yeah, Denver Art Society, Spectra Art Space. Quick plug for Spectra. They've got a 3D immersive going on right now.
Whoa.
Like, it looks like Meow Wolf, but completely indie, volunteer, girl-created sort of plant utopia extravaganza. And I have art on the wall. So, yeah.
Super cool.
And they have a rainbow theme show going on as well. So, yeah, Spectra Art Space, Denver Art Society. 2 spots where I generally have stickers. I've got prints. I've got original work in stock. My Instagram, I'm very accessible through there. If you go to my Instagram, @Piri you will find on my profile, I have one of those link tree things where you can find my Etsy, you can find me on Redbubble. So I have Le Lapin. If you want a Le Lapin miniskirt, find them on Redbubble, and you can be bougie too. I'm putting a website together, so it will be SeeMartinezArt.com. Hit me up on Instagram. Someone goes, do you do Venmo? I'm like, hells yeah. You know, I'll ship it to you. So if you want to buy my art, you can get it in person, Denver Art Society, Spectra Art Space. Hit me up on Instagram, and very soon, website, SeeMartinezArt.com.
Very cool. That's exciting.
Yeah, thanks.
So, C, I'm wondering, what does art mean to you?
Life. And that's kind of, maybe that's trite to say, but it is. Art is, I can't imagine life without it. No art on the walls, no creating, no drawing, no painting. I would have 0 childhood. Like, that's it. That little girl would disappear, vaporize, like Back to the Future style, like, phew, gone. Art is life. That's just it.
Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Andreas Talks Art. Don't forget to leave me a review. It helps me improve the show. And if you got anything out of this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you shared it with one of your friends. Until next time, yeah.
Share this with your friends if you liked it. And don't forget to be cool. Peace out.